You are listening to Zen and the Art of Triathlon.
Well, hey there, all you triathlete studs and studettes. This is Coach Brett with another great episode of Zen and the Art of Triathlon, the podcast where we go long on endurance and learn a lot about ourselves along the way. All right, with all the pandemic coronavirus lockdown going on, things have been a little bit hectic around the ZenTri studios, and it's been a little bit since I've put out a show. So I need to reintroduce myself in case you've never heard the podcast before, in case it's new to you. Zen and the Art of Triathlon is a show that I've been producing since about 2004, maybe 2005. It's the very first podcast about endurance sports, which also makes it the longest running. And also I am an ultra distance endurance athlete and a coach, along with having done 15 Ironmans and a whole bunch of half Ironmans and Olympics and such. I've also done a lot with the individual sports, which allows me to coach and talk about them. For example, I've swam 22 miles nonstop across Lake Tahoe, which is 1 mile longer than the English Channel, and it's 6,000 feet elevation, and I did it coming from sea level. And also I grew up on swim team and was varsity swim team captain, and also a state finalist in several freestyle events. On the bike, I grew up biking all over the place and also got into mountain biking and then eventually into triathlon. And I'm the local resident 100-mile Gran Fondo bike champ, I think 3 times in a row. They canceled it this year. And in the process of building up bicycling proficiency, I at times have gotten my FTP up around the low to mid 300s. Also on the run, I have raced many trail run ultramarathons and also finished a 100-miler, which was probably the most difficult thing I have ever done. And then to top it all off, a few years ago, I put it all together and did an Ultraman, which is a 3-day, 2 to 2.5 times Ironman, which ends in a double marathon on day 3. It was tough. But anyway, and I'm here to give you tips and tricks as I take you with me as I record during the week, doing all my training and covering the news and doing interviews so that you can also pick them up and we can all be racing and training and living the endurance lifestyle to the best of all of our abilities. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, I want to go ahead and admit that this show is going to be too long. I realize that. And it's because I cover a lot since I put out my last episode. And one of the reasons is I take you with me during this past week of training. And it was a 15-hour training week, which is pretty typical for what I do. But I cover a lot of things as they come to me while I do them. But when it starts to drag on and you don't want to hear it anymore, remember, you can always go to the show notes and see what you want to listen to. And you can fast forward. Doesn't bother me whatsoever. If it's slow and you want to speed it up, hit double speed. I'm personally trying to get back in the groove of talking to the mic, and it's sort of awkward. It's weird that I kind of lost my touch a little bit with speaking into the mic and getting things out efficiently. So the show seems inefficient at times. But the big thing, a lot like getting back into the pool, if you've taken a long break like a lot of us had to, the big thing is to just get it done, get it out there, go, and then we can improve on it as we repeat it over and over and over again, and we'll get better at it. Real quick, looking through the highlights of this podcast, if you can't go look at the show notes right now, I do a long-term review of the Garmin Varia. I talk about the ZwiftPrefs app and how to ride the Watopia Waistband route. I talk about a really cool way to watch video of bike races while on Zwift to make it more fun. I do a swim workout of the week, which has got some pool boy and fins and stuff like that in it. It's a workout I've been doing lately. I talk about preloading for sodium to help you out for long, hot workouts if you live in the Northern Hemisphere. It's really helpful right about now. And I detail how it worked one day and how it did not work the next day. And also how to know if you are needing of training your legs or your lungs one more than the other. What happened when I got extremely dehydrated mountain biking, how I knew and how I tried to recover from it. It's extremely hot here. It's over 100 degrees for days in a row. And I did 2 long mountain bike days in a row. And the second day was bad. I almost passed out while driving. It's all in the episode that you can go listen to. And a really cool trick to clean your bike, especially mountain biking if it gets muddy, if you drive somewhere and then bike and then drive home. And also how to finish your week with swimming to help you recover faster. And also how to start your weekend, like on Friday, the day before the weekend, with a swim, and why. Okay, so that is what we're going to cover on today's show. Plus, there's a whole bunch of other stuff just mixed in randomly. Oh, and also, of course, I cover some triathlon and endurance sports news. We're going to do that actually first. Big news is the coronavirus lockdown. Everything got turned on its head. The biggest one that affected triathletes is like no swimming at all. And then in lots of places, no biking and running. And it is very difficult to get back into something when you haven't been doing it for a while. So let's use the example of swimming. The big thing with swimming, because it takes a lot of gear to go swim, and a lot of times people forget their gear when they go to the pool. So they forget things. So you need to be really, really gentle on yourself and not be too judgmental when you start swimming again. And definitely don't try to pick right back up to where you left off with speed. You will injure your shoulders. You'll tear things up badly. Instead, just go to the pool first day. Just try to make it to the pool and figure out what's going on at the pool. That's a huge accomplishment day 1. Next time you go, day 2, try to get in the water. If you got in the water on day 1, consider yourself a hero. Day 2, get in, try to swim, and then you'll start realizing all the stuff you've forgotten, like your goggles or your swimsuit, things like that. You got to get back in the habit with all this stuff. And then keep your swim really short because you will hurt a lot after doing that. And then the 3rd time you go back to the pool, you should have things a little bit more in order and should be able to start thinking about like a real workout. And then what I did was I just set myself for, I think, like 15 minutes. And then I built on it. And every time I went swimming, I tried to add a little bit more time and longer sets. And man, I thought I was going crazy how difficult it was to get back up to where I was. And the final result was maybe after like almost 3 weeks, I got back up to a full hour of swimming and doing things that I like. And I'm not up to my cruising speed yet. I do Ironman swims in about an hour, give or take a minute. And that's about a 125 per 100 yards pace. But you got to be able to sustain that like swimming easy. And I have a beeper on my watch that tells me if I'm keeping that pace every 100 yards. I have a timer that goes off every minute and 25 seconds. So if I'm just swimming along and it beeps, the next time I hit the wall or the next time it beeps, I should be at the same spot in the pool. And right now I'm swimming at about a 126, 127. But it is increasing quickly, and I'm just letting the process take its course. And it seems to be working really great. And as a coach, I know that that's actually what works anyway. So that's what you got to do. The other thing is people's lives are completely turned upside down. Schedules are all over the place. My personal situation is that some days I go into work, and this is not a choice. This is what's required of me. Some days I got to go into work, and then some days I stay home. And then I thought I was so smart about how I had accomplished all this stuff. And really, honestly, it was a routine that I had set up that I had fine-tuned over all this time. And when the routine got screwed up, man, I got screwed up. It turns out I'm not that disciplined or that great. That just added up over time. And like trying to get back into some sort of other routine is really difficult. And it's difficult for everybody. So don't be too hard on yourself. And actually, we're learning a lot about ourselves with all this going on. And honestly, currently, I have it pretty easy compared to a lot of other people. I completely understand that. There's a lot of death and unemployment and just heartbreaking stuff going on right now, and a lot of political horror show going on with people fighting with each other and people not wearing masks. And I live in the Southwest, Texas, and it is just embarrassing with how some people are acting about this and not doing what they need to do to keep themselves safe and to actually help others. Anyway, I don't want to go down that road too far, but all kinds of bad habits have worked their way back into our lives. And it's your job to try to identify those bad habits and learn about yourself. We talk about that in this podcast all the time. But when you're faced with a challenge, you learn a lot about yourself. That's why we do these things. You do an Ironman, not because it's easy, and not just because it's hard, but because you're going to find out who you really are about halfway through that run on the marathon. You're going to figure out exactly where you failed in your habits and in your training and in your life when you tried to tackle this thing, and it's not working out exactly the way that you thought it was, and that's okay. So we all just need to hang in there and keep just trying to improve on our daily situation and get smarter as we learn about all these changes in the world that are going to go on. There's all these downsides, all this bad stuff. Every once in a while, I'll try to remember, in the end, hopefully there'll be some upsides. A lot more of us will be able to work from home and have better schedules, and be able to do a lot more meetings virtually, and doing a lot more triathlon virtually, and just so many things that we're going to see happening. The bike industry, oh my God, we're going to learn so much more about the world, about how things are made and who it takes to make them, and appreciate it all over with everything shut down. The big news here is I live in a college town. I live in College Station, literally a college town, and where Texas A&M is, and our economy is going to get crushed in a very bad way when football season doesn't happen. And I'm actually on pins and needles waiting to see what happens. I definitely don't want football season to start, but I also definitely don't want to get laid off, because I don't want all these people going to events where they're just spreading the coronavirus like crazy. And then also I have a 15-year-old son, and we had to choose about whether to send him into school or not. And we're seeing all these pictures and videos of crowded schools, and people just thinking somehow that they're not going to catch this virus, or somehow it won't affect other people. And both my parents are elderly. It sounds weird to say that, but my parents are prime targets to die from this virus, and it's not going to go well when lots of people like them, and it is not going well when lots of people like them get infected. And it's just madness right now. So we all just need to try to hang in there and just do the best that we can. That's all the advice I got. Even though this is an advice show, with this one, I have no, I definitely know what we should do, but people aren't doing it. So now what do you do? Which is a very Zen thing to refer back to. Now what do you do when people aren't doing what they should do? Now it shows who we really are, and the real challenges begin. Okay, let's just leave that there and keep moving on. As a family, we did take a short vacation to Durango, Colorado. It turns out it was much safer there than it was in Texas. Way more people everybody actually wearing masks and keeping social distancing going, and just fantastic situation. And we went there just to get some time away, and we went to a little cabin out in the middle of the forest, and we never even saw the housekeeper or the staff that we rented it through. We got there and we rented it online, and then we got there, and then the key to it was on the doorstep. and done. We never saw the staff, anything like that the entire time. We only saw a cabin neighbor like a few times and never got close to them. And then in town of Durango is super famous for mountain biking and lots of stuff, but it's just wonderful. And I've been there many times, although it's been a long time since I've been there, but I grew up in college going there a bunch, and then right after college, and spent a lot of time in the area, Colorado, Silverton, Durango, let's see, Great Sand Dunes National Monument, and we did all that again, and then also did not get a chance to go to Telluride. But Kai had never been there, and we rented him a really nice mountain bike. We brought our own mountain bikes, but when we got there, we decided to rent him one that was super nice and better fitted for the area. And he and I went mountain biking several times, and it was wonderful. And I came back from this Durango vacation, instead of being usually wiped out like I usually am from my vacations, to feeling amazing and recharged. It was just wonderful. And one of the tricks that actually made it really nice was we took our dog with us. And having a dog with you is a real tension reliever, and it makes the trip way more fun. Because anytime you're bored, or anytime there's an argument, or anytime there's anything stressful going on, you can just turn to the dog and pet the dog and hug the dog and talk. You can pretend like the dog is talking, or talk to the dog like you're talking at the other person. Like, our dog's name's Zoe. Zoe, tell mommy that she's being crazy, and this is totally the wrong way to go down this road, and it's funny. And then you're alleviating tension a little bit. Okay, so there's the Durango trip out of the way. Let's see. Also, I did quite a bit of gravel riding for a while. But I don't have a gravel bike, and I did it on my mountain bike, and I did like several 3-hour long gravel rides, and I loved it. And after one day of doing it, the next time I recruited Kai to go with me, and we rode gravel from a town near us all the way to National Forest, to a lake that I used to grow up going to all the time, and ended up at a campground. And it was just so great. I've got so many great things to say about gravel riding. It's so much fun. And the interesting thing is I get why you would want a more of a road bike instead of a mountain bike, because the position on a mountain bike is so upright compared to a road bike that you do catch a lot more drag, and it slows you down significantly. So I could see the reason why you would want a dedicated gravel bike. Problem is I actually don't have any gravel roads right around me, so it's not very convenient to go gravel riding. And I definitely did enjoy it, though. It's sort of like mountain biking in that it's very engaging because you're constantly having to pick a path, but it's faster, so you get to see more terrain. And then it's kind of like riding road, because you're going faster and you're seeing more of the countryside, and it's pleasant, it's nice, lots of scenery. But at the same time, the one thing that makes it not like riding road, it is so much safer because there's hardly any cars. So anyway, I just wanted to get it out there that I did that. And let's see, I nearly broke my left shoulder, to the point where I was laying on the ground whimpering and yelling in pain. And I was mountain biking with Kai, and he and I had switched bikes, and then also like a week before, and then also I'd taken his bike in. His brakes were so bad that I had them redo the brake pads and then adjust it. And oh, by the way, Kai got a job at the bike shop, which is really cool. And now the brakes were really grabby, and my bike is a 29er, and this is a 27 and a half. So there's this one section of mountain biking of the mountain biking park that we go to, where it is insanely dangerous. There's caution signs everywhere, and I was dropping in off of a small, I guess I'm going to call it a cliff, a cliff ledge, and the combination of a smaller wheel and lower stem height, lower head tube height. And then when I did grab the brakes, they were real grabby, and they don't have good progression on them. And I flipped over the handlebars of the bike and landed square on my shoulder, and then barely didn't go another 10 feet down the cliff. But yeah, I fell like 10 feet down, almost straight down, and then barely, like almost did it again. And I couldn't move my left arm for probably a week. And that's right when the pools reopened around here. I was like, oh my God. So I tried swimming, because usually that's good therapy. Oh my God, it was a disaster. It was terrible. But now my shoulder's pretty good. In fact, the whole shoulder thing may be gone, that injury. I've got another little painful spot in my shoulder, but I've had that for a long time. Anyway, there was that injury, and then one time I was running, and I tried to go running really fast, like schedule-wise, and I ran out the door and started running, and I didn't do enough of a general warm-up. I started running too fast, and I took a hard left turn immediately while running down. My driveway has a slight downhill, and then it turns left, and then there's another little slight downhill. And that left turn, running fast, I was in a rush because I was late, and I tweaked something in my left hip, is all I thought at first. And then I was going to go out and run for an hour, so around 6 miles, and I'm jogging, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. And by the end of the run, I couldn't run at all. And I was walking the last block, and I was pretty much dragging my foot behind me, my leg behind me, my left leg, as I was walking. And there was people out walking, and they were very concerned looking. I looked like Frankenstein. And I figured it out with some research later that it was my SI joint. And I think the SI joint is a fixed joint in your pelvis, but sometimes you can pull it apart, and it hurts really, really bad. So I couldn't run for about 2 weeks, and that is, my second major injury during the coronavirus thing. And what I did was I kept a log. I keep a log of all my injury. Every day I have a recurring task with comments in it in TickTick.com, not TikTok, please God, don't go there, but TickTick.com, and I go in there and update with my aches and pains, anything that I got. A lot of days I got nothing. And then what I do is I hashtag it, and then I can click on that hashtag and then go find it anytime. And it's nice that I've got a list of all my stuff, so I can see if I've had something before and how I fixed it. If I color code it. If it's getting worse, it goes red to orange. If it's getting better, it goes green, that I actually pretty much cured it. And the best way to know that you've cured it is you hadn't even thought about it in a long time. And with the SI joint is I went from not being able, I could barely walk at all, period. With both legs, I could barely walk at all. And then one day, after quite a few days, I could, 3 days, I could walk with a severe limp. And then it went from a severe limp to a medium limp. And then after a few more days, from a medium limp to a light limp. And then from a light limp to no limp. And then I started trying to run in place, and I went from not being able to run in place at all to being able to run in place, sorta, to being able to run in place, and then being able to run a few steps. And then one day, I finally could actually run a little bit, and then a few days to a week or two later, I totally forgot about it, and I was able to run again, with overcoming a major injury that had me, I needed a walking cane and everything for a while there. Anyway, that's all of that. Let's go ahead and get to the triathlon news. We have the IRONMAN World Championship will now take place on February 6th, 2021. Hopefully, we will see. Of course, it's been canceled due to everything that's going on. A lot of races have been canceled. I was going to do some races. I've got an off-road race coming up that I like to do that might be canceled or shortened. And then for the half Ironman World Championships, we got Taupo, Lake Taupo in New Zealand is proposed. And interesting thing, if you didn't know, the big difference between the World Championship and the 70.3 champs is the World Championship has taken place in Hawaii, which is the birthplace of it. For so long, they really have difficulty even talking about moving it, to move it around and have the championship in different locations. So the downside of that is that it really becomes a race of who's really good at doing not much elevation gain and just super duper hot, which really rules out a lot of people that would be excellent at we would have a lot different Ironman champions if the race was moved around. And some locations are cooler but really hilly, you know. Some places are flat and cold, and if you just moved it around, we would have more variety in the world champs. And when they started doing 70.3 champs, I can't remember where they first started doing it. They started doing it in the same place for a while, but then they got smart, and then before it built up a history, they started moving it around, and that's why it's in different places. Is it ever in the same place for a few years? I could see it being good to be in the same place for a few years, because then you get some efficiency going on there. But yeah, they want to keep moving it around. And the next one's in New Zealand, especially because New Zealand has got the coronavirus kind of figured out, which doesn't hurt that they're an island. It's really helpful. Let's see, on Zwift, the France World, quote unquote, is out, and they have the finish line streets, the Champs-Élysées, and then also they have just France in general, which is a cool world. I did some hacking when the news first came out about it, and some people had figured out how to write it before it was officially public, and I actually wrote it. I wrote around and I guess with some pros and some developers, and it was okay. It was quite boring, actually. And then the landscape is beautiful, especially now that they've added some touches to it, because I wrote it again since now it's official, and there's a ton of people on it, and it's really nice. And there's a really flat section for like half an hour if you want. It's a really good place to do an easy ride, and the scenery is great. And it's actually a lot like Texas, East Texas in the spring. Just beautiful, very light, gentle, rolling countryside, and really pretty. And then there's the monster Ventoux mountain, and that thing is a beast. And I thought I would ride up it, and I rode halfway up it and then gave up. So I still have not ridden up that mountain in that thing. When I snuck in, and is when I actually did it. But we'll see. I'll probably eventually ride again. And then in all the tech news for triathlon is steering device for Zwift. So Elite, which is a trainer company out of Italy, they have released the Sterzo, and it's only $50. And what it is the thing that you put your front wheel on for the trainer. As you turn your handlebars, the wheel, what is that called? The wheel holder? Anyway, it rotates, and with that rotation, it sends a signal to Zwift. And turns out there's different lines on the road that you can take in Zwift that with just regular Zwift, you get pushed around by the game dynamics. But now you can actually choose. And turns out it's actually faster to take the inside line on turns, and you can cruise around Zwift and ride way faster than you did before. I don't know how, way faster, but you can ride faster than you did before. And it's such an advantage that they have not allowed it in games. It's banned in games. The functionality just doesn't work, not in games, in races, because the inside line will make you go faster, and not everybody has this thing yet, and it's new. But if you're riding Zwift in just free ride mode or workout mode or whatever, just as long as you're not doing a race, you could get this thing for $50, and you could actually make the game more realistic. And it crossed my mind. I'm like, at this point, now this stuff is getting so realistic that it's way better than, at times, it's way better than road riding. We got to be careful because you still want to have a reason to go ride outside. Anyway, all right, that's it for all the news. Let's go ahead and get on with the main set of the show. I'll take you along with me on a 15-hour training week and spill all the details, how to get it done. All right, here we go.
You are entering the ZenTri training log zone.
Hi everybody, my name's Brett. I'm a triathlete.
I decided it's time I got some friends more suited to my status.
But Joe, we've been friends for years.
Hey, we all make mistakes. Come on, dudes, let's go exercise! Exercise! Yeah! I'm gonna do sit-ups till I poop myself!
All right, let's cover my Garmin Varia rear-facing radar long-term review, and also the ZwiftPrefs application that you can use to help you do some certain things in Zwift. That's very cool, and I found a neat little trick where you can get a course that you can only ride during special events. Well, you can actually ride it all the time if you use this one trick. So back to the rear-facing radar. I've been using it off and on for 6 months. Pretty much anytime I go out on a road ride, I want to use it. Sometimes I give it to Kai, my 15-year-old superstar triathlete son, and he's out on road rides with it, and I feel way safer with him using it. And that's because what it does is it alerts you that cars are coming up behind you, I don't know, 100, 200 yards maybe from the rear. You can start seeing cars. It shows on your bike computer. You can buy its own little dedicated head unit, but if you have a Garmin head unit, it'll show it on that. And then also if you have a compatible watch, I have a Garmin Fenix 5, I think, and it shows it on that. And it beeps, and if you're wearing your watch, it vibrates, which vibrates your wrist, that there's a car coming up behind you. It is really cool. And the reason I got it was that I was finally convinced because DC Rainmaker said that he got to the point where you don't want to leave your house without it on a ride. It's that good. And if you forget it, you turn around and go back, and that is a huge indicator that this is something that's very valuable to you and it's worth it. And I think they might be a little bit cheaper kind of here and there, but I bought mine for about $200, and it's just fantastic. It comes with some separate mounts so that you can put it on an arrow seat post versus a round tube seat post. And I lost one of the little pieces because it's black and rubbery, and I have a million of those little things that are like that, and it's really easy to lose black stuff. It's probably under the couch or something. I don't know, wherever it's gone to. And anyway, long story short, it is great. It is really, really cool. Some other little tricks it has up its sleeve is that it'll show you how many cars are coming up behind you. There are little dots that move up along the side of your bike computer screen. And when the unit is alerting you that, it communicates wirelessly to your devices, and it'll be kind of reddish, flashing that there's cars coming, and then once the cars pass you and it's all clear, then it flashes green or turns to green. One downside is that figuring out how much battery life it has is really difficult and nearly impossible, and that's not cool. So you can actually pair it. Here's a little trick. You can actually pair it with your head unit as not only as a rear radar, that's what it's called when you pair it, but also if you do this other thing and pair it again at the same time as a bike light, a lighting instrument or something like that. I can't remember what it's called in the settings. It will then allow you to see its battery charge percentage, which is really cool. I think it lasts, oh my gosh, I should have had that on me. It lasts plenty, 10 hours or something like that. But let's say I was going to do race across America, I would have 3 of these. And I would have one charging, one in use, and then one as a backup, because it is amazing. And then the light is so bright that it's actually blinding when it's blinking, that it also doubles as a blinky light. And there's a setting where it's on all the time. That's a great way to kill the battery. And then there's a setting where it just blinks. And then there's a setting where it increases the blinking as cars get closer, which is kind of neat. I've never really observed that in person. Okay, so let's talk about riding in groups. It saw when Kai and I go for a ride, now that's just 2 people, it sees right through him on his bike, and then it picks up cars coming up from behind. What kind of roads is it good on? It is not good for places with lots of traffic, because it's just going to be going off all the time. So there's no point to it. You just need to assume that there's a car coming up all the time anyway. Where it is perfect is where there's not much traffic, and it's a little bit of an iffy place to be riding. So my favorite example is when I live on the edge of the city, and I can leave the city limits in a couple minutes, and then it's 2-lane, and then 2-lane highway, 70 miles an hour with no shoulder through the countryside, with trees, and turns, and bends in the road, and little hills and stuff, little rises and rollers, and it is very nice to have this thing behind you, because I get a car. I live in a kind of a small town, and get a car like every few minutes, maybe a car come up behind me, and it's perfect for that, because I don't want to swerve out of my lane because there's a pothole or a snake or like a piece of trash, or I don't know, a bump in the road or something like that, or I'm reaching down for my bottle, so I'm a little bit wobbly in the road. Well, I already know if there's a car coming up behind me or not. And, that was another thing. It's like, at first you're kind of like, you should double check before you do anything, swerving out into the road or something like that. But man, it is like impossible to trick this thing. And if your head unit loses signal with it, like say it fell off, you're like, oh, what if it fell off? And you wouldn't know. Well, your head unit tells you. Because one time I walked off with my head unit, and then it was like, varia radar gone, master, intruder. And yeah, it's fantastic. Oh, another thing that it was really, really good for, which surprised me, was Kai and I did a couple of really long gravel rides, so like 3 hours. And I think, 3 hours plus. And on gravel roads, especially, you only get a car every once in a while. That's the nature of gravel roads. That's why they're still gravel. And gravel roads, usually don't have a lot of shoulder, and you're having to pick your way around little things, like little piles of rocks and gravel and maybe a pothole or a little mud hole or something like that. I don't know. But you don't ride, you can't ride a white line on a gravel road because there's no white line. You're kind of all over the place. And this tells you that there's a car coming up behind you, which is so nice to yourself and also to the people in the car that you're not being a rude cyclist and hogging the road and have no clue that there's a car coming up behind you. You actually know, and you can get over it and they can go by. It's really cool. All right. If I remember anything else about the Varia, I'll talk about it either later in the show or a different part of the show, and also in future episodes. I highly recommend it. Long-term review over, and I bought it with my own money, and I'm keeping it. It's good stuff. Kai goes out the door on a bike ride by himself, and I hand it to him. I'm like, here, take this. Make sure I charge it to make sure he's got it when he goes off on a bike ride. In fact, he went on a bike ride today, and I didn't get a chance to see him out the door, and I'm going to scold him if he left without it. Okay. Next is ZwiftPrefs, or Zwift Preferences, which is a little app that you can put on your computer if you run Zwift off of a computer. I run Zwift off of a Mac OS, a MacBook Air, and it gives you kind of a control panel. It's a really simple program. It gives you kind of a control panel over a file, and what this file is an XML file. And those of you that don't know what XML is just kind of like a list. And that's actually how podcasting got started. It's a list, and the items on the list have dates on them. This is for podcasting. And if the date is newer than the audio file you already have, or last downloaded, then download the next one. That's it. And so XML for Zwift is a list of the preferences. And a lot of times it just kind of keeps the last thing that you did. But ZwiftPrefs will actually, instead of going through this file that you would have to use, like open up a notepad, and you have to know a little bit of coding sort of to kind of be able to, it's easy to read, but you don't want to mess it up. And if you're not really familiar with XML, you could get something in the wrong place, or it's just, I don't know, it's just kind of, I don't call it awkward, it's inconvenient. And ZwiftPrefs also did something I noticed that was really unusual. When you go into Zwift and you load up a course to ride, you have like your given courses. And I was messing around with loading up France, the Tour de France courses that we've been seeing, people racing virtually, and that only pros are allowed to be on. And I found a hack. Oh my gosh, it was so difficult. It was crazy. I did it like 3 weeks ago, and I haven't done it since, which will show you about how much I don't want to bother with it again. And I think it's got Mount Ventoux on it, which I wrote up about half. And so I was all riding around France and everything else like that. And I was playing around, reading up on, what are the changes and hacks and stuff like that. There's a website called Zwift Hacks, and I think they're the ones that make Zwift Preferences. But there's also another special course called Watopia Waistband. And it turns out, I first discovered this course after I had been riding it myself, but I'd been doing it manually every time myself, because I had figured out like what is the absolute best course for training for long distance triathlon, so for Ironman and Zwift. And I had been riding around so much that I pieced together this course. It was amazing, and I believe on the next episode I'll talk about why. What is it about this course that's so amazing? And it's how many miles long? 17 miles long? No. Well, anyway, yeah, 17 miles long about, and at race pace, like 250 watts, man, it takes like 40 minutes to go around this thing, and it's got the coastal town, it's got the marina, goes through the volcano, it goes up into the desert, It's got some descents on it. It's got some long, even climbs, and it's got a lot of flats and stuff. So it's like just a perfect. It's got a couple like 3 times you can like stand and climb. Again, I'll cover that in another show, but it's just got the perfect mix, and it takes 40 minutes or more. 40 minutes at Uber biking pace to do this thing. So it's just fantastic. So you can ride this loop, but I've been riding it manually myself, with the keyboard or with my mouse, like clicking the turn left, turn right, turn left. Y'all can go online and see what Watopia Waistband, the actual route, looks like. And I studied elevation gains and stuff to make sure it matched up with like Ironman. It's probably more than I bet it's more than Ironman Texas. And Ironman Texas is my local Ironman, And so I was doing a bike ride. It was like a special event with like Mark Cavendish and other people. And it said it was on the Watopia Waistband route. And so I dug around and found out more about it. This was a long time ago. And Watopia Waistband was this exact same route. And then I come to find out it doesn't exist. Like if you log on to Zwift yourself just to go for a ride, Watopia Waistband isn't in the menu. You can't select it, and it's for special events only. And like, but it's awesome. It's the perfect Ironman training route, and there's another thing I was going to talk about on this show. The ultimate thing to make bike riding fun on Watopia, I figured out, or doesn't have to be Zwift. It can be like any kind of game or whatever that you're doing. I'll talk about that in a second. It's awesome. But back to the point of my story a few minutes ago. I was on ZwiftPrefs or Zwift Hacks looking at different courses that were available and stuff. And it said that Watopia Waistband was available through the ZwiftPrefs little application. I was like, what? What are you talking about? So I opened up ZwiftPrefs and scrolled through all the courses that are available. And there's things like you can change somehow like the settings of your title music. You can change the default settings of the resistance on your trainer. Which courses you want to be on, like a whole bunch of, there's like 100 and something different things that you can change in these preferences. And lo and behold, scrolling down, and I'm sure there's more than this, but scrolling down through the courses that were available in Watopia to set as your default whenever you log in, Watopia Waistband. And I was like, what? Are you freaking kidding me? Holy cow, this is so great. Because now I don't have to use my keyboard to turn everywhere multiple times. And on a rare occasion, you mess it up and then it screws up your plan of what you're kind of doing. Anyway, so if you want to ride Watopia Waistband or maybe some other special event courses, you might be able to find them in ZwiftPrefs. And it's a free download. You can just put it right on your computer and run it. Okay. Now to the super cool thing, the really odd, funny thing that I have just recently figured out that is a cool trick for biking is on the trainer is that did y'all ever catch that thing with on YouTube when coronavirus first got started with the lockdown, and there was a guy that did a whole bunch of YouTube videos for like for about 10 days or something like that of the Tour de Corona or something like that. And he is a bike race commentator, and he's got a good voice, a deep voice like this, or just a pleasant voice. He knows how to talk, and the racers are coming up around the corner, and this and just a bit outside, that kind of voice. And from his apartment window, he has a view of a river with a whole bunch of bike paths and stuff around the side of it. And he would do commentating of the people riding their bikes along the bike path. And it's awesome. And one of the characters like that he named, you see a lot of people the same day. And again, it's Tour de Corona or something like that. You can go find it. And he did like one a day for 12 days. Yeah, and they called them stages. It's fantastic. But one of the things he did over his audio of his voice recording was helicopter and crowds cheering, right? And it just made the whole thing. It's really cool. Okay. As I've been riding on Zwift, I figured out that on YouTube, you can watch videos, and if you right-click once and then right-click again on YouTube, on the picture, on the video, it will allow you to do picture-in-picture, and then that picture-in-picture is floating. And it's not the size, dude, it's only like a fourth the size of your screen, but it allows you to drag and drop it like anywhere, and it's frameless, and it is a beautiful, amazing thing, and you can continue watching your video. So what I do is I get a little board riding indoors on the trainer and riding on Zwift, and so what I do is I watch videos at the same time in like a picture-in-picture box. I used to do it kind of off to the side, and I figured out to do it low, down in the middle, and I've watched a million different kinds of things. Watched TV shows. That doesn't really do it for me. I watched all these different things. I'll think of another example in a second. But a lot of different things. And the other day, I realized that when I watch bike racing, the reason that watching bike races that are stored on YouTube, so Tour de France, Giro d'Italia, man, 2017, 2015 is fantastic, man. It's hours and hours and hours and hours and stages, and it makes you feel like the lockdown isn't happening, for one thing. Guess what's happening? It's got the chopper sounds, and it's got commentary back and forth between 2 or 3 people about what's going on in the race. It's kind of off to the side or down low, and you kind of get the visual. So if it's like something really interesting that you want to keep your eye on, like there's somebody doing a breakaway or something like that, then you can watch it, But it's the dynamics of the sound of the choppers and the bikes crashing and the commentary and this person is at this point and commentary on teams and stuff like that. In a weird way, you feel like you're in a bike race because it's fully immersive. You're getting all this stuff that you normally see on a bike race now going on. So it's you with all the cyclists and everything going on around you in Zwift or whatever game you want to be playing, and then plus all this. So again, now that I've explained it all, you may be like, holy cow, that actually is pretty cool. Yes, the way you do it, YouTube, right-click twice, and it'll do picture-in-picture. You can also download an extension to Chrome, which will leave it up at the top of Chrome, just a button you can click, so you don't have to do all that right-clicking and do it. It just does it all the time. Anyway, and then my favorite, for whatever reason, is women's bike racing and women's mountain biking. Oh my gosh, mountain biking, holy cow. Because A, the women are freaking badass, and B, women race differently than guys, so it gives you kind of a different perspective on things, on what to do. It's kind of like studying. You think you know philosophy, and you think you know how the world works and how to think, coming from the West, until you study Eastern philosophy, and then you realize there's a whole different way to approach everything. And then the women look sharp, man. They're pretty badass. And then also the women, most of the time, they have like PhDs and stuff like that, because they have to, women's racing doesn't pay. Unfortunately, it doesn't pay anything like what men's cycling does. So they have careers on the side, and cycling attracts like smart people. We cyclists and triathletes tend to be an intelligent bunch. And it's really cool to see women's cycling for me. So give that a try. If you're a guy, and I don't know, I think they're pretty good looking and in pretty good shape, and maybe that attracts my attention as well. I can't really put my finger on it, what it is about it, but I watch it mix. if you're a girl, listen to this podcast, maybe you want to watch men's cycling or whatever you're interested in. Okay, that is it for now. I'll be right back with the next part. Hold on. All right. I am at the ZenTri home studios, and I'm going to get stuff together for my bike ride later today on the trainer and talk about that a little bit while I cover things I did on this morning's run that so far seems smart. We'll find out. It's a really good run this morning and was thinking about little tips and tricks. Let's see, I had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich earlier, and I think I'm gonna have another one. That worked out really well. Or maybe a Cliff Bar or ramen. All things that are debatable if they're actually good for you. I guess I'll do the ramen because I need salt, and ramen has a lot of salt in it. And this crushing up the ramen before I put it in the thing, I figured out something cool. Is that we have a Keurig, and I'm rinsing out this cup. Emily leaves soap and stuff sometimes. And when I was in college and I would eat ramen noodles, the way to cook them in your dorm room or whatever you had was a little hot pot or whatever it was called. It makes hot water really quick. Turns out a Keurig is really great for that. And I put the ramen noodles in one of these stainless steel thermos mugs, probably about a 20-ounce one that are so popular right now. And then put a large cup of coffee's worth of water into the mug over the noodles and let it sit for like 4 minutes. Bam. It's all done. And then you only have one dirty dish, and it's all done in the same container, and it's convenient, and it's making the hot water right there as you need it. No excess. No energy wasted trying to keep it hot out of your hot water heater. Okay. And for my bike ride, I'm going to go in my training cave and see what the situation is. All right, looks like I've got towels and headbands. All the sweaty stuff is in place, anti-sweaty stuff. So it looks like I just need water. Looks like everything's good to go, although actually I do want to lube my chain. So let's go ahead and do that while I talk. So I was running this morning, and it's really hot where I live and really humid. And the wind, if it's especially hot and humid, the wind is out of the south off the Gulf of Mexico. I'm in south central Texas, or central Texas. And let me put some of this wax-based lube. Where'd it go? Shake it up. So if I'm, towards the end of the run, that's when you get the hottest. And if you run with the wind, oh my God, it's so hot, especially if it's a hot and humid place. Like here, we get regularly in the heat index, feels like, quote unquote, of 120 in the afternoons because of the humidity with the heat. And it is something that I figured out. You make your return part of the run into the wind, and it's a whole lot better. You're not as hot the first half of your run, and then the second half of your run, you really start getting hot around here. And for example, if I ran north, it doesn't really matter so much that I'm running with the wind because I just started running. I'm not as hot. And then turn around and come back, and the run south is into the wind, and it creates a little bit more of a breeze, a lot more of a breeze, and just feels a whole lot better. The wrong thing to do is to run with the wind on when you're getting really hot, and man, that will cook you. In fact, on race courses, that is something to really pay attention to. On race day, you really should know the wind and when it's going to get really hot and which way the wind is coming from. It really helps. Okay, I'm going to put the recorder down here and lube the chain. You'll hear that for a second. Why are you making so much noise? Ah! That is yellow gold or something like that. Wax-based lube. It's the best. And the way I was talking about how I ran was actually not how my running route is today. I was just giving that as advice. And I did find a really nice run route, though, because it's got a lot of varying terrain. And actually, I needed to mention before I forget, that I gave my son, Kai, who's a really great runner. He was going out for a 40-minute run. I gave him these new wireless headphones that I'm trying out, black pods. So they're knockoff Apple AirPods, but they're black. And they seem to work pretty great. They have some little downsides, which I'll talk about in a minute. But let's go ahead and get this going here. I got my packet of ramen flavoring. Now I put it in the cup. Put the cup under the Keurig. Oh my God, the Keurig does not have enough water in it. Add a little bit more. There we go. Ready to rock. Make sure you take the coffee pod out, else your ramen will taste like crap. And here we go. Oh, it's kind of quiet. Spin it around a little bit so it gets the powder all in there. This will be good. By the time we're done recording this little segment, it'll be all ready. So Kai was running with the black pods, and he's run with them twice now, a short run and then a 40-minute run, which for him is kind of long. And he says they're working great, and I don't believe things are sweat-proof until you run with them in Texas humidity with tons of heat and sweat. Ooh, the Keurig's acting weird. What is it doing? Oh no, it's fine. All right, ramen will be ready. 4 minutes. So I think in future episodes, I will have an update on those black pods. It's actually the brand name Black Pods, and I paid $50 for them. Something that's really great is wearing the AirPods Pro, Black Pods on bike rides, because the way they're designed, they're separate per ear. So you can have just one in and listen to music and then still be able to hear traffic out the other ear, which is really great. Kai was going for bike rides wearing both headphones, and I was like, no. As your father, I say that is dumb. It's already dumb to be wearing headphones at all. Let's not have ones in both ears. And let's see. Oh, so I was going for my run, and I still have a little bit of a tight calf on the right side, my mad calf. And one thing that definitely helps if you have a calf or foot injury is if the road, pay attention to how the road slopes and how that actually impacts your injury, how you feel. And if the road slopes off to the right, I do a lot better. But you can't do that all the time. It's not good for you. And I figured out something today. It was really interesting, is that if I run with my right hand, forearm, whatever, lower than my left, just a little bit, it makes the right foot, right calf and all that, somehow, for some reason, it doesn't take as much impact. And it's great. Get back on running and stuff, and because running makes you feel good. You don't want to quit running entirely unless you have to. And if you get injuries on the left side, that's also something that you could do on the left side. That worked out pretty nice. And I ordered a new Amphipod, is a brand name, running belt. And I get the stretchy belt. That way it can be infinitely sizable, and then it doesn't lose its, it attaches with Velcro. If you get things with buckles like slip when they get wet with sweat. And the belt is new, and it's where I put water bottles on the side. I can attach them to my waist. That way I've got good running form because I'm not running with stuff in my hands. And you do want to run with stuff in your hands on occasion, because like a water bottle or something like that, because really hot races, it's nice to be able to run with water in your hand, you know, all kinds of stuff like that. And anyway, though, this thing is new. It's a little bit too tight. Plus, I've gained a little bit of weight. And so it's kind of stretching out a little bit. But anyway, it caused abrasion on my belly when I first got it like a week ago. And it hurts. It didn't hurt while I was doing it, but man, afterwards, now it hurts. And what did I do? I got this. I was sponsored a long time ago by a company named Skinsake, and they have medicated athletic cream. So it's petroleum-based, so it sticks in place, but it's also medicated. It's called Skinsake Athletic Ointment. And I went online to order more, and it seems like I can't find it anywhere. It seems like they're still in business, but maybe they're just sold out because of the pandemic. A lot of things are like that right now. Oh my gosh, Kai got a job at the bike shop, by the way. Thinking of things that are sold out, it made me think of bikes. That made me think of Kai has a job at our local bike shop. I'm so excited. This is so great for so many reasons. Great reasons. And anyway, so with Skinsake, any kind of medicated ointment like that, that's also lube, you know, like so that you don't get saddle sores and stuff like that. If you get medicated, it also kind of heals at the same time that it protects, which is smart. And I have a basket of stuff that right before I go running, I make sure I put all my stuff in there, especially clothes that I'm going to use tomorrow. If you want to go, you want to make sure that you work out. One thing to do is to get stuff together way before you work out, like I'm talking about right now with, oh yeah, that's one thing. For example, I need to get out my bike shorts and my bike socks for my bike ride. So I'm not looking for them later. And I think they were outside drying because I cleaned them, I washed them. And now they're out in the sun. Let me go look, go out in the backyard. Let's see. Bike shorts are almost dry. Don't have any socks, I believe. Oh man, I've got so many pro tips to catch all back up. Here is my bike socks. They're still a little damp from cleaning them. So they need to go out in the sun for later. And, oh man, pro tip I figured out. You looked at your watch and your watch is running low on battery. You need to charge it soon. But you don't have time to charge it right now, and you're going to forget later. Move it to your other wrist. And this had a surprising compound effect that is fantastic for me. It might be for you. Is I moved it to my other wrist, and hours later when I'm at home where I'm near my charging cable, I look down to my left wrist and say, what time is it? And I'm like, what? Where's my watch? And I look on my right wrist. I'm like, why is it over there? I'm like, oh yeah, because I'm going to charge it. So then I put it on the charger. So anyway, I've had this problem forever, a decade, where most of my life, my left wrist is a little bit smaller than my right wrist, and just significantly smaller. And I love wearing watches all the time. I like buying watches that are waterproof. That way I just don't even have to take them off, because I grew up on swim team and I need to know what time it is, because I'm in ninth grade and I need to know how much more time we got till this miserable punishment is over so I can go to class, for example. And you're taking showers and stuff, and you know, oh man, I was at military school, need to know what time it is constantly for inspections and whatever. So you just wear a waterproof watch and just wear it all the time. So I noticed after moving my watch to my right wrist for a while, and I was really surprised at how easy it was to learn how to use the buttons the other way. A lot of people have problems with thinking they can't move something to the other side because then they have to use their other hand and it'll be really difficult. It's actually not. Many times in life I've had to learn how to use the other hand. I got carpal tunnel in my right hand, so I learned how to use the mouse with my left hand when I used to do a lot of digitizing stuff with the mouse. And then now I'm kind of not really ambidextrous, but kind of ambidextrous with the mouse. And I learned it in like 2 days, but just because I had to. And then forever, I would not wear my watch on my right wrist. I'm wearing it right now on my right wrist, and I'm fine with it. Because after, I don't know, a couple days, you kind of figure out how to use the other side. And it's actually good for your brain as you age. Anyway, I got around to putting my watch back on my left wrist, and I noticed that it wasn't on the same notch anymore when I tightened it down. My wrist had grown in size and girth, and my best guess is, the watch, just over time, kind of like foot binding or something like that, it ends up making something smaller and smaller because it's putting pressure on it, and then taking it off, it allows it to grow back in size a little bit. And yeah, you got to try that. It's really cool. Try moving your, if you got one wrist that's smaller than the other, and it happens to be the same wrist that you wear a watch on all the time, try moving it to the other side. If you've got, you're trying to remember to charge something, put it on the other side. And if you want to make sure that you get your workout done later, start getting the stuff together for it now and put it near the thing that you're going to work out with. And that has two benefits. Is one, the brain hates to leave things undone. So once you start getting your stuff ready, it really makes you want to get ready. You start thinking about working out, how you're going to work out, what you're going to do. Then, probably quadruples the chance you're actually going to do it later in the day because your brain doesn't want to not do it now. And also, when you're getting all this stuff together, there's quite a good chance that when you're getting your stuff together, you realize something isn't right, like a bike computer isn't charged, or you thought you had clean socks and you do not at all. It's not like something you need to go get out of your drawer. It's like you don't have any, or bike shorts or something like that, and you need to actually do something. And if you don't do it now or get started doing it now, it will definitely ruin or severely impact your workout later. All right, that's it. I think my ramen is done. I'm going to have that and come back in a little bit. All right, leaving the pool, talking through my mask, just getting out of the gym. Let's get this thing off. You can hear my Yeti cup, my Yeti knockoff. Nice little sip of carbonated water with a little bit of coconut in it. It's like coconut flavored, very lightly. Good little swim, 1 hour. And what I did was just sets of 600s, except for the last one was 700, I think. And basically on the 10-minute interval. So 600s, and I was averaging about a 126 pace, I believe, which is really nice. And when I finish 600, I wait until the 10 minutes is up, and then I go again. So that gives you, gave me about, let me unlock the car here, a minute and something rest between each one. And swimming's so interesting. The rest is built in to your intervals. The faster you go, the more rest you get. You want more rest, go faster. Self-reinforcing improvement. Putting all my swim stuff away here. So today I did something I don't think I've ever done it before. Was this particular thing was started off with fins, and I just got some Finis. What are they called? Oh, Striker with a Y. Striker silicone fins, and they're zoomies basically. They're very short fins, and they don't give you much propulsion, and they certainly don't help you float. I can tell that. But they teach you how to use your kick, and they also force your toes to point back, which is something a lot of people need a lot more of, and even me maybe. But I did the first 600 yards with just the fins, and that was nice. And immediately started feeling, where to put the kick to actually get it. Because what it does is it gives you feedback of resistance when your kick is actually working. And then you're like, oh, that's where it is, right there. So then your timing and your application, to line it up with your arms, with your stroke pull is optimized. And then next one I did Pool Boy, but I have a very unique Pool Boy, which is also Finis. I really like Finis stuff. I like Speedo too. And TYR is actually not said. You're not supposed to say TYR. You can say it however you want. I'm not here to tell you how to do things like law. But Tyr is a Nordic god of war and a few other things. And that's his name. Ooh, I need gas. Need to get some gas. What's funny is driving home after swimming instead of driving to work, because I'm not going to work today because I'm working from home. And let's see, what did we have? So second set of 600 yards was with fins, pretty much the exact same speed. And then the next set was 600 yards of regular freestyle. And I like doing that because the things that you learn from doing the Pool Boy and the fins, then you implement them as soon as you can. It teaches you, like, this is how you do your stroke right. And then, okay. And then you put it in the stroke as fast as you can. And that way you absorb it. Your body memorizes how to start doing it right. It's like, do it like this because I just did it like this and it worked great. Forgot the Finis Pool Boy I use is the Striker. No, those are the fins. Axis, AXIS. And the reason I spell things a lot is because of my American and then further on Texas accent. Maybe it's people don't know what I'm actually saying, which I wouldn't be surprised. And this is a cool Pool Boy because not only, can you put it between your thighs like normal, but you can put it between your ankles. It's got ankle slots in it. And when you put it between your ankles, it really isolates your feet and it really gets your feet up. And also, it helps you straight in a much straighter line, and then it keeps your ankles really close together. So then it makes you really more streamlined, like a lot more streamlined. And then also, I grew up with a problem of over-rotating at my feet, and my feet would cross over, and a little bit of a wiggle in my stroke. And you can't do that with these. So it really teaches you great swim stroke, kick, body position, all that good stuff. And on top of that, let's see, I decided that I didn't want to, the pool boy teaches you to glide on your pool, which is really nice. And I realized that pool boy really teaches you to glide so well on your stroke that I want to switch the order back to doing pool boy first, as my 10 minutes of that, 600 yards, easy, because that's a really nice warm-up, because it's a nice glide and you're so efficient and smooth that it's easy on the arms. It makes for a good workout. By the way, I did 3,700 yards. I did 600 6 times, and then on the last one I had a little bit of time left over, so I threw in another 100, and that gave me my 3,700 yards. There is a thing about pool boys that if your speed swimming regular is almost exactly the same as your swim speed with a pool boy, then you have a really good stroke and technique, and you're really efficient. And that is because your position is pretty much the same either way. Isn't that cool? So that's something to aim for. Guy's waving me on with his kid at the intersection. His toddler on a bicycle. What is it, a trike? It's got a little flag on it. No, it's got training wheels. Awesome. And there's another kid. Oh, the other kid's showing off with his bike doesn't have training wheels. Okay. Last night I did an easy bike on the trainer, because that would be 3 days in a row of riding the bike on the trainer, an hour each one. And the first day, hour on the trainer, just going kind of average, medium, like increasing speed. Oh, and doing no coasting, which I got to talk about. I don't want to talk about it right this second. Let's save that for a little bit. But my average was like 257 watts, 260 watts, just nice average heart rate, but working on no coasting at all and doing the volcano flat loop. And then the next day, I do like 3 laps of this loop. And then the next day, which was day before yesterday, I did faster and pushed it a little bit more and averaged 262 watts, probably. And then on the third lap of Volcano Loop, what I do is I do the first lap easy, very easy, kind of like a warm-up, kind of see where I'm at. And on my bike computer, I look at the average watts for that first lap. And that tells me a lot about what to do the second and the third lap. And if the numbers are bad, then it's an easy day. And then if the numbers are fine, then it's an average day. If the numbers are awesome, then it might be time for an awesome day. But what you have to do is on the first lap, which takes about 20 minutes, is not try, just warm up and just kind of see what happens. And you don't want to skew your results unintentionally. And the next, but that was 2 days in a row of increasing effort. And my last lap on day 2 was 270 something watts, and I averaged like 260 something watts, which is really solid for me. And it was an improvement over lately. So even though I wanted to bike yesterday, I was like, just get on the bike and try to just ride easy. And that's what I did last night. Very easy. Brought the whole average back down to 252 watts average, which was, for me, nice and easy. Also, the black pods that I mentioned earlier, it's blackpodsco.com, I think. The right one seems to be not as much battery life as the left. I'm not really sure what's going on. I'm not surprised that knockoffs have quality control issues where they're not exactly the same. And also on my phone, I have an iPhone, it doesn't show the charge separately for each one. And I have the BlackPods 2, where they look like the first generation AirPods, where they're long and thin. And one of the upsides that I wanted to mention of these things is because they're black, you could probably put it in your ear and then it looks like you have on a Bluetooth headset, like a businessman, a business lady. And you could be in a meeting and listening to Zen and the Art of Triathlon or some other great podcast like quantum physics kind of stuff, learning about science and engineering and making your brain giant. And people have no idea that they think that you're not listening to music, is what I'm saying. And then because they're independently designed, you could have just one in, and it's like, no, I'm a businessman, and I have to be ready at any time to listen to get a very important phone call. Buy, sell. So I wanted to mention that. I was in a little bit of a training the other day, and I had them in, not during the training, but right after. I had the right side in while eating. We had some lunch afterwards. I went kind of off by myself, and there were still like 3 people in this huge room, but I had it off to the side. I was off to the side a little bit, but I was able to talk, and I had this one black AirPod in, and no one seemed to notice or care or say anything about it. It's way less distracting. I think if it's white, people are like, you have AirPods in and you're listening to music and not being a great employee or business owner or whatever you're doing. But if you have just one, it's like the 1990s, the 2000s, where you got that Bluetooth thing in the giant Bluetooth tumor thing sticking out of the side of your head. Because you're a very important business person, like I said. Okay, there was something else. Oh, also, it's Friday, and I have a strategy where on Fridays, I've learned to not work out twice, and just swimming. And what that does is it gives my legs a break. And that sets me up for a nice weekend. If I haven't done anything with my legs the day before, Saturday and Sunday, that means I can go in Saturday and Sunday with fresher legs and then do bigger volume, which is what most of us do on the weekend, and I actually have better workouts and feel fresher actually doing it. I wanted to remember that. And then on Monday, I tend not to do any swimming on the weekends, by the way. And then on Monday, I go back and swim again. And then that is nice recovery, because swimming tends to be mostly upper body, and then the kicking and whatever is just kind of therapeutic, you're just kind of kicking your legs around, and it feels good. And that way, if you do it right, you can work out pretty much every day and still get in a workout and feel good and continue to build your volume, which is the strategy for ultra endurance. Is you always have to be looking at where to fit more training in and get in more volume. Okay, I think that's it. I'm wrapped around the corner here to get to the Rizzle Hizzle. Check in on Kai and Emily. Kai was going to go swimming with me this morning, and he walked into the living room in his underwear and stared at me as I was getting ready, and he said, "Dad, just go on without me. I'm going to sleep in." And I said, yeah, no problem. Just got to keep setting the example, and eventually he'll catch up. He's doing great. All right, that's it. I'll be back in a second. Out. All right, we are back. I did something really cool today. I preloaded sodium before a really hot, long ride, and it worked. And I forgot about where I heard about this. It was on a podcast like a month or so ago. I'm leaving the house. I gotta go pick up Kai from the bike shop. And make sure I got my keys. Oh, I need sunglasses. Hold on. Let's go back. They were interviewing a pro and a sodium expert, I believe. And they were giving tips on, how to keep your sodium up, have better races. Okay, I'm back. They were talking about how different ways to get sodium in your body on race day, and the question, can you take sodium ahead of time? Very good question. And I'd heard about it a little bit before. Let's get into mobile studios here. Got my mask, my pandemic mask. But not to the extent that these guys were saying. And they were talking about, is it like carb loading? And the answer was no. It's, carb loading you can do for like a few days or something like that before your event. You build up the carbs. But sodium loading, you kind of don't even do it the night before. It's like the day of. Just get a bunch of sodium in you. And was it Jordan Rapp? I'm trying to remember who was saying this. And a lot of sodium in you. And then when you go out on your really hot, sweaty ride or race or whatever you're doing, that sodium's already digested and in you. And then all the water and stuff that you drink, is it osmosis? Where water that doesn't have salt in it, salt pulls water. I guess that's not osmosis. Salt pulls water towards it. So if your blood is really salty, the blood tries to even itself out with the other water that you drink by pulling all this water in. Wait, no, that's not how it works. Anyway, your blood's really salty and it pulls in the water that you're drinking. And they were saying, with your morning meal, take a bunch of salt and with some water. That way you can get it down. Not a lot. Really, really salty drink before you head out, and then it should be good to go. So Kai and I, we're gonna go mountain biking, and we needed to do a 2-hour ride plus, and it is insanely hot here. We're gonna start at 8:30 in the morning, and it's so hot that even if you do all the sodium and water and stuff like you think you should, when you finish your ride, you're just wiped out the rest of the day. And I've realized that living in Texas is that the summer here is actually like detrimental to your training to do long. You can't do long anything, and you can't do anything outside almost. It has to be either really early in the morning or short, or both. And so I do, in the summer, it's kind of like the opposite of living up north. In the summer, I do long rides. I've learned to try to do long rides on the trainer and even long runs. I'm going to run later today. I'm doing it inside on the trainer because it's 100 and something degrees outside. For real. And we were getting our stuff together, and I was having coffee, and with what was left of my coffee, so like just a quarter of a cup of coffee, maybe not even that much, I put in a quarter teaspoon of salt. So that's somewhere around 600, 500 milligrams of sodium. And I poured it in there, swirled it around a few times to make sure it was absorbed, or make sure it was diluted and mixed in with the water, and kept swirling it a couple times, and then pounded it real fast because it tastes like crap. It's not terrible. I've tasted worse, like ketones. Oh my God, those are nasty. That's like, am I drinking propane somehow? Liquid propane. But the salt went down, and I didn't think much of it later. Until later, Kind of I are riding along, and I was using like my own home brew fuel and water with salt in it and stuff like that, like I always do. I got a pro tip on camelbacks and ice here in a second on hot days. And as we were riding, I guess we were about 45 minutes into it, and I noticed like Kai was in front of me a lot. And traditionally now, he's faster than me because he's insane, and mountain biking is dangerous, so there's that. And then also, if it's short, he's definitely faster than me. Like, a ride has to be like 3 hours long for me to just wreck him. And there's the mountain bike place that we ride has 5 different sections, and we stop at each section, the person who's ahead, to wait for the other. And he said something at one of the stops, like, let's say it's the end of stop 2, section 2. He said, "You're going really fast." Like it was a half of a compliment. It was a little bit not. And I need a sip of water. And I was like, "Really? I don't feel like I'm going fast." He said, "No, you're pushing the pace, aren't you?" I said, "No, I'm doing just riding." And then this happened a couple more times, and then at the end, he was exhausted, and he was having a little bit of trouble, not like medically wise, like standing up and stuff like that, but you know, when you're tired, you know, like sitting down on things. When we're all done after 2 hours of mountain biking in this heat, and he's sitting down and just looks wiped out, and I am bouncing off the walls. I'm like excited. I'm talking about the rest of the day. And then another big thing is at the end, I wasn't craving any salty foods, which is a big indicator if you didn't get enough sodium in your fuel and water, or lately in life, is if you crave salty foods after a workout, especially a long hot one, you crave chips and hamburgers, savory stuff, then you're not getting enough sodium. And my one-time analysis is that it totally worked. I felt fantastic the entire time, and I went faster than usual. Then faster than usual without even trying. I was not trying at all, because Kai's coach told him to do a medium bike ride. And so we were on purpose. We're not supposed to be racing each other and stuff. And then when I got home, felt fine. I cleaned up all my stuff, got all my stuff ready for tomorrow to work out again. That's a big one too. If you come home and then just throw all your stuff on the ground and then go pass out, then you're dehydrated and all kinds of stuff. So I'm not sure if I'm really recommending this, but I tried it, and it really seems to have worked. And what I did was a quarter teaspoon of just salt, just regular old table salt. don't get these things wrong, don't do like a quarter tablespoon by accident. It's a quarter teaspoon. It's a lot of sodium. And you got to be careful with sodium too, because it messes with your blood pressure and stuff, because it plumps you up. And it was just fantastic, absolutely fantastic. I had a really, really good ride. So I'm really excited about that. Was excited to get on the mic and record the rest of this. So one of the things I do in these hot months of training is I put my CamelBak, I ride with a CamelBak, A, and then B, I put my CamelBak in the freezer. That way it stays clean when I'm done with a ride, and try to put it in the freezer. That way it won't develop mold. That's a pro tip right there. And then C, when you put it in the freezer, fill it at least about a third full of ice, or of water, I mean. And then when you put it in the freezer, the next time you go train, it'll have a big block of ice in it. And then you just add more water to it as you go. And you'll have an ice cold drink pretty much like 2-3 hours. And mine is I think it's a 2.5 liter CamelBak. When Kai and I did our gravel ride, and it was insanely hot, that was a 3-hour ride. I had ice water all the way to the end. And what you can do is, if you put a big enough block of ice in there, if you put enough water in to freeze overnight, then when you stop to take a whiz or whatever, when you load up your bike with more water, put that water in the CamelBak, and that will continue to the big block of ice, if you have any left over, will make that water colder as well. All right, I'm about to pick up Kai, and I think that's it. I'll be back in a minute. All right, I'm back. I'll turn off this Bob's Burgers. Really love Bob's Burgers. Such a great show. Anyway, it's in the evening on the same day that I went on my long mountain bike ride I just spoke about a minute ago. And felt really great, and got on the treadmill. And I've got a race coming up that is off-road and has, it's a mountain bike trail and probably an aid station every mile. And because it's pretty hilly, and on the treadmill, what I would do is set it to a 12% grade every 8 minutes. And I was doing this on purpose because probably walk the aid stations to make sure that the fluids go down, because if you're running while you fuel, especially while you fuel, then you don't get enough water and fuel in you, and it settles your stomach for a second so that you can absorb the stuff. And so what I like to do is build it in. I like to build things in together so things are intertwined and multi-purpose. And so like, instead of going to the gym and doing squats, what I do is I have a treadmill with 12% grade and run hills until it burns, just like you're doing a squat. And then that way you're getting the muscle growth and strength work and all that other stuff while doing the movement exactly like you're going to do in the race. And it ends up working fantastic. And so I was doing, if I was racing, I would probably be doing about an 8-minute mile. And so then I'm hitting the aid stations every 8 minutes, theoretically, and walking the aid stations real quick. And then a great time to walk is when a hill gets too steep. So what I do is at 7 minutes, I set it to 12% grade, and I run for about a minute. It's increasing. It takes like 15 seconds for it to get up to 12% grade from 0. And I run it, and about a minute in, it really starts to burn pretty good. And I have to decrease the speed and everything, I think down to like 4.5 miles an hour. And then I hit, 2.5, 2.3, kind of depends, miles per hour. But I keep the grade steep. And that's on purpose, because if you're doing things like I like to do, ultra long distance trail running, like say Rocky Raccoon, 100 miler, and things like that, you need to be able to practice hiking fast, uphill especially. The best way to survive a 50-miler or a 100-miler race is to walk anything steep uphill, and that saves you, for the rest of the run. And it's just really good and really smart thing to practice, is being able to walk fast uphill, and also walking anything really steep, like 12% grade. And so it's all folded in, like 12% grade hill, and then that starts to burn enough where it's kind of like doing strength work. It's exactly like doing strength work. In fact, that's what strength work wants to replicate, is what I just did. It's better than strength work. And then, I need to walk at that point. So then I kick it down to 2-3 miles per hour. So now I'm walking speed, but still anywhere between 6 and 12% grade at this point. And then while I'm walking, but uphill, pretty steep, I take on a little bit of fuel and a lot of water. And then after about 30 seconds or so of that, I feel pretty good and I can start running again. So I kick the speed back up and then hit 0% grade on the treadmill, and the treadmill starts going back down flat, and the speed starts picking up, and then I start running normal running speed again. And there's two things about this. One, it is epic long distance triathlon and also ultra marathon trail running, but Ironman training too, to really give your legs that strength so that you can survive long times on your feet. The other thing is it makes the time on the treadmill go by super fast, because it's eight minutes, man. Bam, you got to do it again. And the thing that happened today, though, was it felt great. Everything was fine. And about an hour in, I felt a little bit of a strain in my left foot, which was really weird because it's my right foot that has problems, although my left foot historically has had some problems. But I felt like I strained a little bit. It felt really weird under the left foot. And, 12% grade. And also I went mountain biking earlier today, and I do flat pedals on purpose so that I can dab and also run off the bike crazy fast. It moved me up a place in a race, off-road triathlon once. And especially if this race goes on to be the 5-hour race, it's half Ironman swim, then 5 or 6 mile mountain bike ride, 2 mile run. Repeats over and over again. And so switching back and forth, and then each one of those takes about an hour. So it's a 5-hour race. We're talking about almost 5 times. 5 times. So it's actually 10 times, I guess, that you're transitioning. And if you're doing flat pedals and running shoes, then man, you save a ton of time not switching shoes. A lot of time. It's pretty cool. Anyway, that's why I was practicing that. And tennis shoes running shoes don't quite have the support that clip-ins do. And so my arch was kind of talking back to me a little bit. And like I said, it started hurting around 1 hour in. So I started thinking about quitting because my goal was to do an hour and a half. And it was actually okay. But then I decided, you know what, I don't need any problems. So I cut it and I decided I'd had enough. And I felt fine. I could have, energy-wise and aerobically and strength and everything, I was fine. But the left foot was kind of tweaked a little bit. But, when you train, you hit a limiter of some sort. And you got to be careful, how much you push that limiter during that workout. Because if you push it too hard, whatever that limiter is, you could hurt yourself or screw things up. And one example is if you go run, something will fail first. Usually, if somebody's new to running, their legs will either hurt too much and they can't move their legs, or they can't breathe, one or the other, and they run out of oxygen. It kind of depends, and it takes a well-trained athlete to be balanced at both kind of at the same time. It's kind of imperceptible. But when you start out, you're just kind of an average beginner to average triathlete, one thing gives out before the other, and that's how you know what needs more training. If your legs give out from fatigue, then that's the thing that needs training. But if aerobically that you're fine, your aerobic system's great. But you could have the other way. A good example is when I went to Durango, and I'm running at 8,000 feet, or mountain biking at 8,000 feet. Of course, I run out of air first. My air system needs training to catch up first, because I can't keep up with my legs. Anyway, needed to back off a little bit so that my foot didn't become not just the weakest link in the chain, but the broken link in the chain. And I thought it was actually pretty smart. A little disappointed I didn't do the full hour and a half, but an hour 17, what's the difference, right? And then it's also smart to quit while you're ahead when you still got a big day the next day, and then that next day will be better. And I am planning on doing 2.5 to 3 hours on the mountain bike tomorrow morning. We'll see. A lot of it depends on if the bike holds up, because the front derailleur is it's got a dual double chain ring in the front, which I kind of like because it's like a quick bailout gear. And I'm riding Kai's bike, and my personal bike, we switched, and my personal bike is a 1x in the front, and then I got electronic shifting on the back, and it's awesome. But it's a hardtail, and Kai wanted to switch for a little bit, and we're both ride the same size bike, kind of, and with some modifications of adjusting the handlebar height and things like that, and stem length, and swapping pedals and things. We got it, for like a month now. We've been riding each other's bikes, and I used to have a full suspension a long time ago, a really nice one. I had a Cannondale full suspension forever ago, and I miss it. Full suspension's fantastic, and I've really been enjoying it. But anyway, this derailleur, the chain gets wedged between the derailleur and the chain rings. It's really weird. So Kai and I, we didn't even know really what was going on. I just heard like this dragging, and every once in a while it gets kind of jammed and stuff like that. And so I picked up Kai from the bike shop, and we came home, and then he looked at it, because I said, dude, this is actually, he was asking to start riding that bike again. And I said, yeah, by the way, because it's all jammed up, to help me take a look at it. And so it was kind of cool, It was actually really cool to have a bike shop employee in my house looking at my bike. And he knows so much more than just like a few weeks ago already. And he asked if we had a 3-way. I was like, what? And so what he's talking about is the tool that has 3 Allen wrench, 3 hex wrench heads sticking out of it. At, what is that? Not 180. Is it a 210 degree angle? 120 degree angles coming out of it. Anyway, and I said, what'd you say? He's 15. He goes, a 3-way. I wish we had a 3-way. And so I was changing clothes and kind of laughing to myself. And I said, do they call it that at the bike shop? And he said, yeah. And I said, did they just call out across the bike shop in the back area, hey, anybody have a 3-way? I want a 3-way like that. And he goes, yeah. I was like, yeah. Dude, that's the description for 3 people having sex at once. And he was like, huh? I was like, I'm glad you don't know that. So it's kind of funny. I said they're giggling and smirking, when they say it. And he said, a little bit. And I was like, yeah, that's probably what's going on. Anyway, we fiddled with the front derailleur for forever and trying to get it up and down, and then got out pliers and like tried to bend it so it quits grabbing the front chain ring. And it's not good. It's not a good situation. I don't think it's ever going to be fixed. It needs a new front derailleur probably. Probably got banged up against something. Anyway, that's it. I'm going to get off the mic because I'm going to watch some more Bob's Burgers and have dinner. I'm starving. Be right back. All right, we are back. I did a repeat of yesterday's mountain bike ride, and it ended in a horrible fashion of overheated. I was starting to get heat exhaustion pretty bad, and I've got my feline coach here, Suji, the ZenTri house cat. He's looking at me. He's starting to get hungry, so we may get some meows here in a second. I'm in the living room, as he wants me to feed him. But yeah, I should have known something was up because when I got up this morning and made a little bowl of cereal, the milk tasted exceptionally fantastic and wet and good in my mouth. And I was like, oh, milk is so good. I should have taken that as a sign that I was dehydrated because it did not taste like I'd been out in the desert and for 3 years. It should not taste like I've been out in the desert for 3 years and that milk is like ice cold Gatorade or something. And then the other thing that I screwed up was, oh, wait, let me back up. If you wake up in the morning, the thing that you usually eat and drink, if it tastes like you need the water part of it, the liquid part of it really bad, like you just, it tastes so good, then that's a sign you're dehydrated. And then the other thing I didn't do was I didn't weigh myself, and I should have done that. I got away from weighing myself, and I'm trying to build up every morning, and I'm trying to build up the habit again. And so I didn't, and honestly, I should have weighed myself last night. The thing is you get into weighing yourself, you're starting to get in that kind of disordered eating kind of habit, but I guess not exactly so if you're doing it for hydration. And my scale, I've got a scale that shows hydration levels, but I guess I don't really trust it or believe it, or I just never do it. But anyway, if I had done that, if I had weighed myself, and I would have noticed that I was down a lot. And then I also would have drank more overnight and this morning before I headed out. Because I started biking, and I noticed while I was biking, even though I started half an hour earlier, that I was sweating a lot more than usual. And like I was pushing the pace really hard, even though I didn't feel like I was. And then I noticed that my times per section were slower, even though I was sweating a lot. And even though I felt like I was doing about the same effort, but I was significantly slower with, just feeling kind of bleh. And feeling, when I'm sweating a lot, and then I'm losing all that hydration, even though I felt like I showed up pretty hydrated. And I got about less than 2 hours in, but then I noticed my hands were cramping. And when I get dehydrated, I get cramps all over. That's one way to tell the difference between dehydration versus, cramps from dehydration versus cramps from overexertion. If it's from overexertion, trying too hard, then you get cramps in the muscles that you're using. If it's from dehydration, you get cramps all over. And I was getting cramps in my hands and then a little bit in my forearm and bicep if I was reaching in my jersey pocket behind my back. And my ice water thing was just kicking ass, by the way. That was great. But I was running out of water. In fact, I'd run out of water at about 2 hours in. And I was pedaling back to the car. And I was having to take breaks in the shade. And the thing is this one area towards the end of the ride is really in the bowels of the forest down deep. And there's no, even though it's shaded, there's no breeze. And on the way back, I was noticing that, now mentally, I've got a note of where there's many places of where to stop in the shade, where there's like a field around it, so then the breeze comes through, so I can stand in the shade, but a breeze is coming through because there's no brush around there. Sorry, I just took a sip of water, and it's carbonated water, which I've added online. I found grapefruit powder. So one packet, it's kind of like a sugar packet, but it doesn't have any sugar in it. And you pour it in your water, and it makes your water taste grapefruity, and they have lemon and orange and stuff. And man, it's good. It's really, really good. I got off Amazon. Let me go see the name of it. I think Zoe wants to come inside. You want to come inside? I just want to stand there. That means she wants me to come outside. I'm not going outside, man. It's 1 billion degrees. Heat index today was 103 degrees. I'm out there I thought I was going to do a 3-hour bike ride. Let me tell you how that didn't happen. Where's the little packets? I have them somewhere. I'll wander around here. Yeah, I hear you, buddy. Okay, well, I'll find them and talk about them later. I don't know where the little packets went. Let me look a little bit longer. Found them. Okay. It's true. The one I've got is grapefruit. True grapefruit. Made from real grapefruits. But the first ingredient is actually citric acid. And then it's grapefruit juice and the peel. Man, it's really good. So it'll make you want to drink more water. It's super easy to add to water. Very portable, little packets. Anyway, so I was having to stop starting at about less than 2 hours and just constantly to try to cool down so I could keep going. I was going so easy trying to pedal and get back to the car. And, trying to make... I just created a new saying. I thought of it a few minutes ago. Make gravy out of gravel. Trying to make gravy out of gravel, I was like, okay, well, this is good heat training and such. I mean, it really isn't. I don't need that much heat training. Oh, my God. And when I got home, I found I'd lost 10 pounds. And that's almost, guarantee you, that's all water weight. You want to come inside? Okay, now Zoe wants to come inside. 10 pounds is too much water to lose in just 2.5 hours. That shows you how hot it was. And I was getting heat exhaustion, probably felt like 100 degrees. And I got back to the car and cooled down, and I've got to make more gravy out of gravel. I was thinking while I was riding, I've got some tips of things that I do while mountain biking that I've learned or I figured out on my own. So one is when you get off the bike and then you start pedaling again, make sure that the right in front of your front tire, and back tire too, but mostly your front tire, that it has a smooth path in front of it. If you hop on your bike and start trying to pedal and you got one foot on one pedal and then not on the other, almost anything that is even slightly blocking your wheel path will cause your bike to want to stop, and then you have to fall over again. It's a really good trick. I forgot where I heard that. Picked that up somewhere. Also, when you're riding in a heavily wooded area, in and out of the sunlight, sunglasses are actually a bit of a problem, and because you need them while you're in the sun, but then you dive into the dark, and then bam, you got a problem. And you should always ride a bike with some sort of eye protection. I've been riding my bike 15 miles an hour, 10 miles an hour down a road, and a car went by and it threw a piece of gravel and it hit me in the glasses and shattered my glass lenses. That would have taken out my eye. And then mountain biking too, you get a lot of stuff in you. You get a branch in the eye and stuff. But anyway, my favorite by far mountain biking glasses, and these I would get if I lost them, they're clear but with blue tint. So very light blue tint. They're not shaded. So I can actually, when you go from being in the sun to into the dark, you can still see really, really well. And I've found that a light blue tint added to my vision, it puts me in a really nice mood, really great mood. And this has been proven. It kind of depends on the person. If you want, you can try different colored lenses on things and kind of see how it makes you feel. And don't be surprised, it make you feel a certain way. And I've actually got a pair of sunglasses that have that I wear the rest of the time that are, have shade to them, but they have a sort of a bluish tint to them as well. And I feel great when I wear these things, just driving, or if I was road biking out in the open sun, I would wear the other ones, or I got some other polarized ones. But don't ask me what brand they are. I bought expensive sunglasses a couple times early in my life, and I found the magic ratio of disaster is that the more you spend on sunglasses, the faster you're going to lose them or break them. And it's crazy. So every time I go to the drugstore, I walk through and I just kind of walk by the sunglasses kiosk little things, that they've got. And you can get polarized, good quality sunglasses for 20-something bucks. And what you're looking for is ones that have a little bit of rubberized in the on the nose bridge, and if you can, that's the most important part. And then the part that goes over your ear, if that's got a little bit of rubbery material on it, that'll keep it from sliding off, and then you're set. Anyway, in the car, whenever I go mountain biking, I have a gallon jug of water, and that came in handy today because I was overheated. And I'm standing there, and I was able to pour water over my body to cool down, and it really helped a ton. And then also, I have a pressure washer that you can hand pump in my car, and I use that if we've been mountain biking and then it's muddy, and there's too much mud and stuff on the bikes. And it's going to be kind of a yucky day or whatever. If you spray down your bike and clean it to get all the mud off before you set off on your drive, then your bike will dry off on your drive home. It's like the coolest thing. And God, Seth's Hacks, maybe I saw that one time. But you can go to Lowe's and for like $10-15 buy a pressure, it's like a insecticide sprayer or something like that you just hand pump, and then you can spray your bike down. It's not crazy powerful, but it does the job to get the stuff off of your suspension fork and off of the drivetrain more than anything. You want to get that off and get your bikes nice and clean, and then you have that on the drive home. I mean, it dries off on the drive home, and then you can just put your bikes away. It's pretty cool. And then also in my car, I keep a little cooler, and in it I'll have either carbonated drinks or even a beer, because we could do that where I ride. And then also the thing that I use to keep, one of the things I use to keep the cooler cold is I have it's about 20-ounce water bottle in there that's full of that's been in the freezer, so it's full of ice. So then when it melts, I can actually drink it. The device to keep the cooler cold is also drinkable, which I actually needed today because I was so hot. It was really nice. I was like, man, I need more water to cool down. And I was like, oh yeah, I could just drink this. Anyway, so I have this to-go kit for the end of my mountain bike ride, and I'll think of a couple more things. All these things were coming to my mind while I was riding, and of course I can't write it down or else I'll crash. But I thought we should wrap up the show with how many miles and hours of stuff I did over the week, just for fun. You can see what somebody that's training kind of at the half Ironman, 3/4 of an Ironman, three-quarter ton truck is doing. And I swam 3 times, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, almost an hour each, about an hour each, and 11,000 yards. So about just under 4,000 yards each time. That's pretty nice. And that's pretty typical. I try to not stop much while swimming and try to get in a lot of volume. That's a lot of distance in just 3 swims, which I'm always happy to have done. And then we can move on to biking. Let's see. I did 3 trainer rides, and I did them all in a row. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, interestingly enough. An hour each on Zwift, riding around Watopia. And those I did no coasting. And the first time you do it, you're thinking it's impossible. Then do it as long as you can, and then go back to coasting. And then the second time you do it the next day, a couple days later, it'll be way easier. And then the third time, it's like addictive to not coast. And then you learn how to not push very hard but you're getting in like secret watts all the time because you're not coasting. You just got to be gentle, and then it works out. It's really cool, and it cleans up your pedal stroke a lot. And let's see. Oh, and then we had yesterday's mountain bike. I got the funny numbers here. And then today's mountain bike. Yesterday's was 2 hours. Today was 2.5 hours. Where did it go? But yesterday, feeling good and being properly hydrated, I did almost 20 miles an hour mountain biking. Oh, yeah, because we mixed in some gravel roads on that towards the end. I did 15 minutes of gravel road. Hey, psst, stop that, cat. And the, 19.9 miles, 20 miles. Let me open that up. So in 2 hours, I almost did 20 miles. Let me look at the map and make sure I didn't leave it on, my watch on while I was driving or something like that. No, I don't think so. Are you serious, Brett? Oh, that's 10 miles an hour. I was thinking that was 20 miles an hour somehow. No. It was not. Okay, good. I was starting to think something was up there. What did I do? And let's go back to the other one. So today was so... Oh, where's my run? I ran yesterday afternoon and it didn't record it. Oh, wait, yeah, it did. And then today, I biked another half of an hour, over 2.5 hours, and I only went 17.7 miles. So it just shows you like how I went a longer time and actually went a shorter distance. Although there wasn't as much gravel road mixed in, but I couldn't have because I was melting down in the forest. And then yesterday, let's talk about that. I'm looking at Training Peaks, and on Training Peaks, for your coaching tip of the week, is you want to always be looking at your total duration. So your duration per sport and duration per total, and then your miles is kind of give or take a little bit. Kind of depends. If you're doing something consistently, the same type of riding, then the same route, then the mileage is interesting. But definitely the time. And we'll get to it in a second, but I've already done 14 hours and 38 minutes, and I haven't even done this evening's run. And this evening's run is going to be debatable. I don't know if I'm going to be able to swing that because I'm still trying to rehydrate. But the biking miles. Oh, they broke out mountain bike. That's interesting. So I biked, how many hours? Does it not have bike time? My totals at the end of the week doesn't show the time per sport. I thought it did. Anyway, 3 hours swimming. Let's look at the biking. 3 hours on the trainer plus 2 plus 4.5. So that's 7.5 hours of biking. Pretty good. And so the trainer work gives you lots of triathlon position, aero bars and things like that. And then I like to mountain bike on the weekends if I can, because that gives you power and also sanity. Being in the woods is a lot of fun. And let's switch over to running. I ran Monday. It's interesting. I wonder if did I run on Sunday before? This is Sunday. Anyway, no, I did not run the day before. So I ran Monday, Tuesday, then took a break. Ran Thursday, then took a break, and then ran yesterday. So, nicely spaced out, 4 runs. The first 3 were all an hour. Some of them were outside. One of them was inside. And then yesterday's was inside, and that's the one where I was aiming for an hour and a half, and then I cut it short, hour 17, because of my foot. I talked about that. So let's see. So far, I've run 26.6 miles. It's pretty good. So if I ran again today, that would put me at 15 and a half hours, about a little bit more, because I like to run for an hour. I like to do my shortest workouts, ultra distance stuff. You kind of get in this mindset of, less than an hour. I mean, like, what's the point? I'm not saying that's the right way to handle things, but that's what I do. And so I like to run an hour, and for an hour, that would give me 32, 33 miles of running for the week. That would be perfect. So then, in 15 and a half hours of training. Cool. All right, I'm going to take a break from the mic. I'll probably think of a couple other mountain biking tips and tricks when as soon as I get off the mic, they'll come to my mind. But I'll be right back. Hold on. All right, we are leaving the pool. This will be the last entry. I thought I would do one to see how the swim goes after a nice solid week of training. I did not run last night because of still a little bit dehydrated. You can tell by the pee. It's a little bit too dark. And I would have needed caffeine to get that workout in. Trying to cut back on that a little bit. And today I feel way, way better. It's Monday morning. And so I'm glad I did what I did. Took a nap instead. Nap like a pro. Guy at work said that I didn't strike him as the type that would nap. I guess because I do so much active stuff. And I was like, dude, I am a pro at napping. It's like my favorite hobby. Anyway, on the swim, managed to squeeze in another 50 yards for 3,750 in the same amount of time as before, same amount of effort. So I'm pretty excited about that. Ooh, I've got one of these grapefruit things. Hold on, I'm gonna make it real quick. Oh man, that's gonna taste so good. Where's my keys? Oh my God. What'd I do with my keys? Am I sitting on them? There they are. I do an ice cup, a Yeti cup full of ice on the way to the pool, all the way to the top. And then I have the ability to have ice water when I'm done, which is really, really nice. So a great way to train is to do the same thing for a while and improve until you stop improving and then change. So I've been doing the same 10-minute long, like 600, 625, basically leaving on the 10 minutes and doing pull buoy and fins. What was the other thing? Oh, and just regular freestyle. And trying to get my swim speed back up to what it was before the coronavirus shut down all the pools. And that would be around 125, 124 per 100 yards at just a cruising speed, which gives you an hour, just a tad under an hour swim for an Ironman. And that's a great place to be. And I'm trying to work myself back up there. I'm holding about a 126, 127 right now. And the thing is just to be patient. And if you do the same consistent workout time after time after time, and you're getting a little bit faster each time, then it's working. Don't change it. And then eventually you won't get any faster, and then that's when you actually need to change it. It's a very Zen thing. It's the saying, that'll work until it doesn't. So use it. this is a really big thing right now, trying to get back into the pool for everybody, if you can even, and start swimming again. How do you get back in? How much slower are you? How do you ramp back up to where you were? Well, the thing is to ramp up gently. You're not your former you, so you've got to do it gently and be patient, and then if your times are getting faster, then you're doing the right thing. All right, I think that's it. I'm about to get into W to the ERK, get some work done. And so I thought I would leave off with a little note that I am about to have one more coaching slot open. And if you want to reach out for full-on triathlon coaching using Training Peaks and the industry standard for the best training in the world, and full-on customized coaching, then send me an email at Texafornia, T-E-X-A, Texafornia @gmail.com, and we can talk, see if you're a good matchup for one-on-one coaching the ZenTri way. All right, everybody stay safe out there, work the uphills, cruise the downhills, and keep the rubber side down. Out.